Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. I'm Jim Price, and on this episode of Calling All Titans, I want to talk about Major Ursa, the new Bear Calvary Titan. In my Kraken video, a lot of viewers disagreed with my assessment that the pirates did not need a Titan, and I respect all the opinions that they shared. But I was honestly shocked when I learned that the Bear Calvary were getting one. Yes, they have problems, but this is one of those factions where, when it gets picked, I instantly get frustrated and afraid. I'm guessing that playtesting showed they were underpowered, which is really surprising because that hasn't been my experience. Then again, I've also gotten destroyed playing as Bear Calvary robots, so maybe having the wrong partner magnifies their flaws. I always thought that the Bear Calvary overcame their flaws, but the flaws still exist nonetheless. To understand their flaws, you need to understand what the Bear Calvary do. They move minions with the intent to destroy them, and they ruin your friendships in the process. Their strategy is centered around the Cub Scouts, who can destroy a minion with less power when it moves to that base. The problem is, the Bear Calvary has no way of powering themselves up to destroy higher powered minions. Combine them with a faction that does, and you will wreak havoc. But otherwise, they have a convoluted way of destroying power 2 minions, and if you manage to destroy one of their Cub Scouts, their power is greatly weakened, because you can just play on the single Cub Scout base. This is why General Ivan prevents destruction to keep their engine going. Having only one out at a time is not much of a threat, since you need to move the minion off, then back to the same base in order to be effective. They have extra starting power, but no card draw and very little extra minion plays. If your minions are immune to destruction or movement, the Bear Calvary abilities take a major hit. And don't get me started on Polar Commando. Despite all this, I have vivid memories of the Bear Calvary shredding apart my minions, which is why I thought they were strong. I could see the Bear Calvary being heavily affected by player count, and if the data backs up their need for a Titan, I'm all for it. I'm just honestly surprised. If the Bear Calvary is secretly in the bottom 16 of Titanless factions, who knew? But what is even more surprising is that this Titan doesn't solve their problems. Instead, in my opinion, it doubles down on what they do best, moving minions with the intent to destroy. To play Major Ursa, you need to sacrifice your regular minion play to play the Titan on a base where you have at least one minion. You may as well move him immediately because he has a talent to gain a power counter and move to another base. Interestingly, Major Ursa gets the power rather than the Cub Scout or any of your other minions. But Major Ursa also has the ongoing ability of somewhat replicating the ability of the Bear Calvary. That's Bear Calvary the minion, not the faction. This is really confusing. Did they run out of synonyms during the expansion? Someone really needs to get Paul Peterson a thesaurus. Anyway, Major Ursa can move an opposing minion from the new base to another base, hopefully sending it into a Cub Scout. Since the Bear Calvary have 7 Power 3 minions, I often have to remind myself which way the 4-3 split leans. There are only 3 Bear Calvary minions, which means the actions do much of the heavy lifting in terms of opponent movement. Major Ursa allows you to move more minions, and the fact that there are only Power 3 or less doesn't matter as much since that's all the non-boosted Cub Scout can destroy. You can save your actions for the more powerful minions. However, the Bear Calvary have an extremely powerful card in High Ground, which can be played on a base separate from the Cub Scouts. In a 4-player game, you could potentially have every base as a bear trap, and Major Ursa can move a minion to any of them. Interestingly, instead of going deep with the destruction, Smash Up went wide instead. I personally would have preferred the power boost, but I see these uses as well. In fact, Major Ursa may not be the best choice for an early game Titan. It would take time to get your Cub Scouts and High Ground in play in order to achieve maximum effect. Yes, the gradual power boost is nice, but the Bear Calvary is most effective when you have 2 or more Cub Scouts or High Ground in play. To sacrifice one of those minion plays may not be worth it. I would consider using the Ancient Lord first as part of a Titan trade. The vampire actions could power up your Cub Scouts, and the Ancient Lord's talent would boost them further. Once they are sufficiently boosted, you can break the Ancient Lord base and bring out Major Ursa. Having a 4-powered Cub Scout would allow you to make full use of Major Ursa's restriction to Power 3 minions, as it can still be destroyed by the now 4 or more powered Cub Scout. Alternatively, if you have a minion who can dynamically drop power, that will increase Major Ursa's effectiveness incredibly. Glimmer is the best candidate, but this would require you to essentially punt on using Spirit of the Forest, which can stay in play indefinitely. Major Ursa has another benefit as a mobile Titan. It can initiate a clash of Titans. Unlike the Kraken, Major Ursa can get power counters to bring to the confrontation. It can also help swing the power total by moving a minion off the base. Not only does this help you win a clash, but it reduces the chance of your opponents being able to replay the Titan on that same base, since many Titans are governed by minion presence. It seems appropriate that a move and destroy faction also excels at destroying Titans. Major Ursa can also move itself to an uncontested base and gain power in doing so, giving it even more power to eventually take down the Titan. What's interesting about Major Ursa is that his ongoing ability can be triggered by other forms of movement, such as Cab over Pete, and not just his own talent. This can provide an interesting combo, as you can use both opportunities to rearrange minions as you see fit. You'll only get +1 power, but you can easily break up minions who are piling onto a particular base. This is very useful against factions like zombies who have no movement and are relying on getting back to the discard pile. Major Ursa also wrecks sheep, as you choose the destination of the minion you move and the flock are forced to follow. Herd the sheep together, then send them all into a Cub Scout or higher ground. As more cards are introduced that reference moving cards, a phrase that includes Titan, I can see new opportunities for Major Ursa. I like this Titan, even though it does not do what I would have wanted. It is definitely going to increase the nuisance factor of the Bear Cavalry further. Even moving minions to another base can be strategically useful whether or not you destroy them. If you are committed to Major Ursa's steady power increase, you may want to consider leaving it in play all game, even if it means shuffling between bases just to increase power. Major Ursa can provide a late game power boost to finish off that last base. I suppose it's fitting that the Bear Cavalry are also about bringing power, since they start off with 35 starting power. It's interesting to see a Titan that doesn't solve weaknesses but rather accentuates strengths, and I think Major Ursa is a good addition to the Titan's lineup. Were you expecting the Bear Cavalry to get a Titan? And would you rather the Titan have movement or increase minion power? Let me know in the comments. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's shut it down.